Welcome back to the set of Build a House in Costa Rica in 90 days or less. This is day 2, and after yesterday, I don't know what to expect for today. But there's our septic tank, and I'm wondering, is it full of water? I'll have to go check later because now I've got tractors working and I have to get this road in a condition that supply trucks can get to the top of the build site. Let's get after it.
And remember, we scheduled not only to have this road done, have it packed it in, but to have them drop the septic tank. Well, we ran into so many problems on day 1 that did not happen, which meant they dropped the septic tank down at the end of the road. That means that now they have to come back out here on another day. So now, let me just kind of share with you how the day unfolded for day 2 on this 90-day challenge.
My main focus was to get the road to the build site completed. Get some culverts in the ground so the road could drain when it rains. Otherwise, that rain would wash a lot of this new material to the end of the road, causing us to lose more money and costing us more time having to put that material back on the road. As you can see, the tractor on the left is working on the lot, while the tractor on the right is trying to get more road material to the top of the road and onto the driveway. This backhoe is having to dig down a lot because the driveway up to the build site is way too steep. He also has to really widen the road so that those big supply trucks, and especially that truck for the septic tank, can make the turn onto the build site when he's ready to drop the septic tank in place. All right, finally, some good news. The culverts for our driveway have arrived. But the bad news is the driveway is not done. We don't have a ditch to put the culverts in. So now we'll have to unload these culverts on the side of the road, which is going to cost us to lose more time. But the road is looking better and some inspectors have showed up. That's right, there is Inspector Mono, making sure everything is done right. At least the tractor with ball tires can now make it up the road. But we are at the end of day 2, so what have we accomplished?
So since the majority of the road was done, I thought surely we'd be able to get these culverts in here, get some material on top of the job site. As the day progressed, it took a lot longer to get the material onto the road, or the rest of the material, and to actually get this driveway built. What I didn't realize is that this driveway had a pretty steep hill, so it took a lot longer to actually dig this hill down, get it at a nice grade, actually get the driveway wide enough that whenever that big septic tank and any other big trucks come in here could actually make this turn. While he was actually digging out this driveway right here, the culverts finally showed up. We were able to go down there and unload those culverts, but since the ditch was not ready, well, we had to unload the culverts and drop them at the end of the road. So at the end of day 2, we've not even accomplished what I thought we would on day 1, but at least we're getting some things done, and hopefully tomorrow is going to be a new day and we'll get more accomplished, but we'll find out. So let's see what tomorrow brings. Hey, this is day 3, and I'm not planning anything anymore. I'm just going to tell you what I hope to accomplish today. Now, today, the plan is to level out all of this dirt right here, or level the actual house build site. It was fairly level already, but since we ended up having to dig out way more dirt for the driveway coming in, we now have a lot of excess dirt. Well, that's really a good thing because now we can use all of that excess dirt to actually level our site a little bit more, giving us more room for landscaping, yard, and anything else that we need. So today's plan, we simply want to level out the whole house site. We've got to get that compactor in. And so that compactor will come rolling up here and compact the whole road, compact our driveway, compact the house build, so that we can actually keep the material on the ground whenever it rains, and it'll be packed and nothing will get stuck, or we won't lose material, okay?
If I can get the culverts in the ground, finish leveling the build site with some road material on the site, that would be great. If everything goes well and we get that compactor up here, I would consider that a bonus. When it's time to buy your culverts, the most common type in Costa Rica will be cement or concrete culverts. You can find plastic or metal, but it is much more difficult to find those kind. If you're coming from the United States, Canada, or most parts of the world, buying construction material is fairly easy. It is a bit more of a challenge in Costa Rica. Most people are used to just walking into Home Depot or Lowe's, and you can get everything that you need in one-stop shop location. However, that's not the case in Costa Rica, or maybe you're used to buying online. But there again, Costa Rica hasn't quite caught up with the rest of the world, so you'll be doing a lot of legwork going from one hardware store to the other, or ferreteria as it's called in Costa Rica, in order to find the materials you need. Having a good contractor will be invaluable because he already knows where to go and has the contacts in order to have the culverts or anything else delivered. When you buy your culverts, it will be important to know how wide you want your driveway. It's always better to err on the side of more, because if you don't buy enough culverts, it will cost you the same delivery fee to bring out 2 more pieces as it does to buy all of them at one time. To get started installing your culverts, you'll need to understand these 4 steps to installing your culverts properly. Number 1, excavating the trench with the proper grade, width, and depth. Number 2, obtaining the right bedding material to go around your pipe, and that will depend on what type of culverts you purchase. Number 3, properly laying or placing the culverts in the trench. And 4, your primary and secondary backfill to cover your culverts. I'll go into more detail with each of these steps, but if this is sounding a bit overwhelming already, well, I agree, it can be a challenge to try and do this yourself. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it yourself, and you can schedule your free 20-minute phone consultation and ask questions or get the help you need for building your house in Costa Rica. So let's get started with step number 1. Your first step, and the most important part of installing your culverts, is excavating your trench. And you want to make sure you have your trench deep enough and wide enough so you have plenty of compacted fill material to go around your pipe. This compacted fill material is what will help protect and keep your culverts in place. So you'll begin to excavate your trench, and you want to make sure that you have the proper depth and width, and of course the proper grade, so that all of your water will drain out of your culverts. Second, you want to compact your trench to make sure that you have a solid base to work on before you put anything inside that trench. So make sure you compact it well. Your second step is obtaining the right bedding material to go around your pipe. Now, first, you want to put at least 6 inches of bedding material in the bottom of your trench. Second, you can go ahead and start compacting the sides of your trench, but you don't want to compact the center of the trench where your culverts are going to be. And then we move on to your third step, which is properly laying your culverts. So first, carefully pick up your culverts, lay those culverts in the center of your trench, making sure that the bell or the socket is uphill. This way, if for any reason your pipes begin to shift, then you will not have any gaps between your pipes. Next, as you lay each pipe in the trench, use a large pry bar to push those culverts in to make sure that the pipe is fully seated into the socket. And carefully check your grade to make sure your pipe does drop on the far side so that all of the water can drain out of your culverts. Otherwise, you're creating a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Now, after all of your pipes are in the trench and you've got them seated, Let's move on to the last but the most important step of installing your culverts. And that's the fourth step, your primary and secondary backfill to cover your culverts. So you want to start by putting in your primary backfill and slowly filling in the sides of your culvert. You want to make sure to pack as much as you can around the underbelly of the culverts and then continue packing as you fill up the sides. When you have the sides filled and about 6 inches of backfill over the top of your culverts, well, you can start using the soil that you dug from the trench. That is, if you have acceptable soil that's not full of big rocks. Those big rocks could damage your culverts if you're driving over them. Finally, make sure that your culverts have anywhere between 12 to 24 inches of backfill depending on the type of culverts you use. And you can continue packing the sides, but you don't want to pack directly over where the culverts are at. This is what you need to know in order to get your culverts properly installed. The first thing we did was dig the ditch for the culverts, hauled the culverts up from the end of the road and got them in the ditch. Now, we have to finish burying them and then pack down the dirt and we can call it done. Time to move on to the next thing, and that's hopefully to finish leveling this lot. Slowly but surely, the lot is looking better. But since we have a few trees in the way, it is causing the tractor operator to move a little slower so he can get around the trees in order to dump the excess dirt.
So as you can see, our lot transformation is coming along nicely. It's taken a lot longer than I had anticipated, but the lesson we can learn from this, the big takeaway, is that you want to make sure that you have your lot, you have your road, you have your driveway well prepared long before you get ready to build your house. This gives you the opportunity for everything to be settled in, and that way, when you do bring materials here, you won't have any problems and you won't have any hang-ups like we're having today. So take a look at what we got. Our lot transformation looks so much better. So if you remember, when we first started, it sure looked like this tiny lot that how in the world are we going to build anything? Now that we've leveled this and we've taken all that excess dirt and pushed it off of the edge, it has expanded our lot so that we have a lot more room. It's going to be so much nicer. Even though it may look like a small lot, there's a lot that can be done with it once you decide that that's the place to build your house in Costa Rica.
By the way, don't forget, at the end of this 90-day challenge, I'm giving away a 3-day Costa Rica vacation. Qualifying to win is easy. Simply subscribe, like, comment, share, and it never hurts to schedule your free 20-minute phone consultation so you can get in touch with a professional who will help you before you invest in Costa Rica. Just as I thought we were about done leveling the lot, the tractor operator started taking dirt from the edge of the property. What I didn't know was he was instructed to straighten out this side of the property for a retaining wall that would later have to be built. And this was a slow process.
It's not looking good. We're not getting as much done as I thought, but what I didn't know is that, see, we have a pre-existing, or we have a neighboring property. And so one of the things that you need to take into account whenever you're preparing your lot is, okay, do I have a neighboring property? Yes or no? If I do, then depending on the topography of your land, are you going to have to build a retaining wall? In this scenario, because we're close to our neighbor, we're going to have to build a retaining wall. And look, it has taken some time, but this looks great. We've got a beautiful spot to actually begin building this retaining wall. So keep in mind, because we have a neighboring property right here, we're going to have to put a retaining wall up here so that his dirt stays in place, obviously, which is going to really look good for us because, you know, when we come into our property, we'll have this beautiful retaining wall. So that's going to increase your cost, but keep in mind, what about the other side? Now, of course, the other side is we're leveling this. It's really starting to take shape. Are we going to have to put a retaining wall on that side or not? I don't know yet, but we'll find out and see what the engineer says. But we're toward the end of day 3, and it's not looking good because I had really hoped that we was going to get some material on here.
At the moment, it's not looking good for the crew who has been hired to level this lot. I've got to decide, what can I do to speed up this process?